Muchachos y muchachas. Okay, so this particular subject is not new to this channel. In fact, I have covered this as extensively as I possibly could, even visited the border a few times to report on these issues, and I've seen a lot of things for myself. Even when I wasn't at the border, I was incrementally giving you guys updates on what was going on, you know, the flights and the secret activity going on in the dead of night, in the middle of the morning. And that is something that we were actually speculating on for a while now, because we had the details, we had some footage, but we could never really confirm what exactly was going on concretely. Well, today there was a FOIA requested video that was actually leaked by a officer who was on the tarmac the moment that an operation was actually undergoing to unload these immigrants off of the plane. And from this footage, it really confirms a lot of what we speculated on, a lot of what we knew internally. But, you know, nonetheless, when it's said concretely, then it's just takes this whole thing into another level. Plus a lot more details that are just coming out of this whole mess at the border and our immigration crisis. Stay right there. We're going to go through it. Friends, the time to prepare for bad times is during good times. If you know a big storm is coming, you prepare in advance. Same goes for our nation's future. Things seem calm right now, but it's the perfect time to prepare for the next big crisis. That's why we recommend stocking up on emergency food from My Patriot Supply. They're America's #1 preparedness company with millions of happy, well-prepared customers. Their food lasts for up to 25 years in storage. It's an insurance policy you can eat. When you need it, it will be there. And right now you can save $50 on a 4-week emergency food kit. This kit provides breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, and snacks totaling over 2,000 calories a day. Every family in America should have one of these. Go to preparewithnatalie.com and save $50 on your next 4-week food kit. That's preparewithnatalie.com. Do it before the peanut butter hits the fan. Go to preparewithnatalie.com. Okay, so like I said, we've talked about this quite extensively on this channel, you know, the multifacets of the situation at the border, you know, everything from, you know, single adult males coming over the border with children, mostly girls, you know, undocumented children, children going missing, not being able to be contacted. And, you know, just the other day, there was a detail that was unveiled that about 50,000 of these migrants cannot be contacted any longer. Now, with this being said, what is about the transport? What about the transport of these immigrants? What's happening with that? And can we get a little bit of closure from this leaked video? This is coming from Fox News. A leaked video shows federal contractors flying migrants to suburban New York, betraying the American people. Now, take a listen to this this footage here. I'm gonna play it at specific parts because this video is about 5 minutes long or 6 minutes long, and I definitely want to be respectful of everything we're going to cover here. So let's just go directly to these timestamps. Here we go.
Yeah. So we've been having, you know, you're on a secure facility here and
figure out what this is?
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. So we've been having, you know, you're on a secure facility here and we don't really know anything and we're in charge of security. So that's hence where we're having a problem here. So,
yeah, we're hanging out here on the tarmac,
yeah.
Things like that.
I don't know anybody.
I used to pick up basketball teams that had more security.
100%. Yeah. You know, and very easily, you know, few people could just go that way. So I'm here to see
where they're coming from.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's slowly coming together, but we also don't know, you know, really what's happening, how they're getting here, whatever else.
You don't want to be somewhere where
Okay, so I'm just going to pause it right there and just kind of give you guys a recap. So basically, the officer is asking this official on the tarmac, or basically stating his frustration that, hey, we place security here and, we don't have security detail as to who or what this is, what operation this is, why these people are being flown here. And, this is just kind of showing a preface of compliance with the officials that are embarking in this mission to unload the migrants in these different cities, fly them in different cities. As you heard the gentleman in the video, he talked about, flying different parties in the past where, the basketball players, for instance, they had more security on their planes than people who are from foreign nations. And, the concern here is that how many times as U.S. citizens, how many times have we been held up at the airport, having these additional checks on us, having to wear face muzzles and all these things, all these stipulations on us. And this is something that I actually just covered also just in a different respect with the truckers convoy in Canada. Their issue is that, they're being forced to get the poke in the arm, although it doesn't really make sense because we're allowing foreign nationals come into our country unchecked, unvetted, and, and definitely not as secure with these transportation missions. So with that being said, let's continue on to the secondary timestamp I got planned for you.
The spotlight. Yeah. We're trying to keep it as down low as possible. A lot of this is just
No, I get it. I just, like I said,
stuff that we don't tell people because what we don't want to do is attract attention. We don't want the media.
Yeah.
Like we don't even know where we're going when they tell us.
Okay, so again, he's now going into the basis of media. We don't want the media showing this. We don't want people. And I did remember experiencing this at the border when I was there last summer. There were some BP agents that were absolutely, they were easy to work with. They understood, and they actually wanted, some media attention on this. But then there were all those BP agents that were, I would say infiltrated in their divisions, if you would, that were absolutely apprehensive at any sort of media covering any fragments of what was going on. There were questions going out to the migrants, for instance, the single adult males that would come over, and the BP would get some BP, not all of them, but some BP agents would get very aggravated and angry at, the media asking them questions and even filming the migrants. So this was already a prelude to what we're seeing now in this footage. He's just basically verbalizing what we were observing and experiencing, back when I was at the border. There were some good BP agents, some that were just very aggravated and very testy about the media being there. So he just confirms it in his words that, DHS doesn't really want media there, and we just basically comply. And here is the mother load right here. Here we go.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I get the whole secrecy and all this shit, but this is even about my
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
And why? Why?
You know why.
Yeah, I know, but why? Yeah.
That's why. Come on.
No, but what's the big secret? Everybody knows it's happening.
You know why? Because if it gets out, the government's betraying the American people.
Yeah, the government is betraying the American people.
And, you heard it from one of the, I don't know who that was, to be honest with you, if it was an agent or just a bus driver or another media person, I'm not quite sure. Or it could have been a BP agent, but, this person was basically in knowledge of, what the mechanics of the government were, and that in fact, that it was what we all speculate that, these people know exactly what they're doing. So, okay, so the next thing that I wanted to go through was the help, the funding. Where is it coming from? And it's quite nefarious what is happening because, again, something that we all also speculated on is, these NGOs that are helping and coordinating over the border, as well as funding this entire effort. Now, one could argue that some of the funding to these NGOs come from, globalist organizations. And, I think that's something that's worth speculation. But of course, this is something that, has only been that until some of this has been a little bit confirmed. Left-wing group secured $158 million taxpayer-funded contract to help illegal immigrants avoid deportation. And it says a progressive group that views immigration enforcement agencies as a threat to civil liberty secured a $158 million taxpayer-funded contract to help unaccompanied minors avoid deportation, records show. The HHS awarded the Vera Institute of Justice, a left-wing nonprofit that backs defunding the police, the contract in 2021 to provide immigration-related legal services to unaccompanied minors, according to USA Spending, a federal contract database. The Vera Institute of Justice is a behemoth progressive nonprofit based out of New York City with well over $140 million in budget, which they use to find a slate of progressive causes and initiatives across the country. An investigative associate, Jason Hopkins, with the Immigration Reform Law Institute, told Fox News whether that be criminal justice reform, bail reform, and also immigration. Let me read that again. So the Vera Institute of Justice is a behemoth progressive nonprofit based out of New York City with well over $140 million in their budget, which they use to fund a slate of progressive causes and initiatives across the country. Get what they say next. Jason Hopkins told Fox News with Immigration Reform Law Institute that whether that be criminal justice, reform, bail reform, and also immigration. What have we been talking about on this channel? And I actually did a story on this as, recent as last week, where we talked about, these cities that are adopting these what seems to be a parallel agenda to each other, where they're reforming bail, they're letting criminals back on the streets, very early on. And, these repetitive criminals are becoming repetitive offenders. And, it's in different respects. It's not just in exploitation, but there's robberies, there's assault, domestic assault. I mean, so many things that are becoming repetitive, but it's because of this little sentence pretty much it perpetuates my case that this is a bigger agenda. It's the councilmen on your city councils selecting and installing these judges in which they decide on these types of issues case by case. Hopkins said that the Institute gets around half of its funding from the federal government. In fact, between July 1st, 2019 and June 30th, 2020, nearly $137 million of the group's $174 million in revenue came from the government's grants in the Institute's most recent tax forms show. The $158 million is just the latest in hundreds of millions that they provided to Vera for their services, Hopkins said. The contract, which hasn't been previously reported, began in March 30th of 2021 and has potential end date of March 30th, 2022. Beginning around the start of the contract, HHS rerouted $2 billion intended for health initiatives, including expanded cocoa testing to help deal with the border crisis and unaccompanied minors. The department did not respond for requests to comment. And we know why. These children that are coming over the border are more at risk than I would say than what they started out to be. Then this is just a complete honest opinion of mine. Axios reported in early fall of last year. Actually, it was very early fall of last year that approximately of at least 40%, at least now I think we can say a little bit more, of these children who are undocumented coming into the country, meaning that they come with no adults. They come here, with the direction of a sponsor, which again, I would have to opine that there's somebody or some entity over the border that is coordinating all this. So they assign them a sponsor. They go with that sponsor. You can't hear from them ever again. Not from the sponsor, not. And this is becoming a very big mystery as to what's going on with these children. But, as you know, they're getting millions of dollars to help these children, apparently, and the children are going missing. That's a pretty cryptic ending sentence, no? And the next piece here, also coming from Fox News, illegal immigrants receive an estimated $5.6 million in taxpayer money for deportation legal defense. So not only are they getting, these nonprofits, NGOs are getting millions of taxpayer dollars to assist these undocumented children, but they're also sending our tax-paid money to legal defense funds for foreign nationals. Now, you might use your imagination and come up with a lot better ways that we can be expending our taxpayer dollars in our society, but I would definitely not imagine that this would be going out to, people who are just crossing in without check, without vetting or anything, and we just don't know what else is being spent or what's being, handed over. So, they say cities throughout the United States have provided an estimated $5.6 million in taxpayer money for illegal immigrants' legal defense, according to a new report. The right-leaning Immigration Reform Law Institute said Tuesday that deportation defense programs utilize public funding in 50 jurisdictions, including 22 that partnered with a left-leaning group known as the Vera Institute of Justice. After researching those 22 state and local governments, IRLI, an estimated taxpayer price of $5.6 million in 2022. So, on top of all this, so we have foreign nationals, being essentially escorted into the country, essentially escorted with our hard-paying tax dollars going out to these immigrants and, assisting them in their move and their flights and all that. Not only that, take a look at this. Migrants with criminal records among those being released in the U.S., ICE agent says. Now, this, again, is not anything new. This is something that we've already known, since last year. But, you can see here by this footage here, a lot of fighting age adult males that are coming off this bus. And, there are various scenarios in which this happens. See that? There's a lot of fighting age males, a lot of young males that are coming off this bus. Illegal immigrants with criminal records are being released into the U.S., an ICE agent told the Fox News team Thursday in a report that included new video of a busload of adult male migrants getting dropped off at the Texas airport. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent who was involved in the migrant release operation said it's been going on discreetly since the spring. And we knew that. The unidentified official said some of the migrants who've been released have criminal records for misdemeanors, including assault, drunken driving, drug possession, and illegal reentry, correspondent Bill Meligoon said. Now, I'll also add on to that appended to these sort of criminal records, a lot of repetitive sex offenders. It's not a conspiracy theory. This is happening. So appended to all of those sex offenders and, some really bad people that are on lists, if you know what I mean. I can't say the word. It starts with a T. So, this is happening. It's been happening since last year, and so I don't mean to be a broken record here with something that I have already reported before, but it's just to kind of alarm you guys that this is definitely still going on. And, especially with the first footage that we went through, this is just to confirm that what we speculated on is actually happening. There are secret operations that are happening, via flights and, the DHS and so many upper level officials and departments are in on keeping this silent and out of the media's way. It's just my job to inform you guys. And I know this is tiring and I know that this is, again, just repetitive, but that is the update with the immigration and border situation. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for being my supporter. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe if you have not already. And as always, stay blessed. I'll see you guys in the next video.